To kick off this event, we are thrilled to have Julian Gorman, Head of Asia Pacific GSMA, who will give his welcoming note and share with us their vision on digital transformation, especially in the manufacturing and mining industry. Please join me in welcoming Julian Gorman to the stage.
His Excellency Prabhuti Ari Satyari, Minister of Communications Informatics, my good friend Dr. Ismail, Director General, Ministry of Communications Informatics, Krishna Patel, President of Ericsson, mobile operator leaders, distinguished guests, and delegates. I have to start by apologizing. We did our first event here last December. This is our second Digital Nations Summit in Jakarta. And my Bahasa has got worse. I have less, which is an indication, actually, that I traveled the region talking about Indonesia. I also didn't have time to go home and get my batik, so I do have to apologize. But it's a great honor to be holding this event in this building. It's great to be able to come and share with friends and industry in a building that was right next door to where I started working in telecoms in Indonesia. So it's sort of like coming home. And also to be talking about sectors here. Originally, I'm a coal miner. So to be able to come here and talk about telecoms in the mining industry is, I worked for Semen Padang in West Sumatra something like 25 years ago. So again, a great time to come back and talk about this. But it's also a great time in Indonesia's digital journey, I think. It's over 5 years now since the world first started to use 5G. Now, there's about 70% of the world, 5.6 billion people around the world using mobile technology, about 70%. About 60% of them are using mobile broadband. And at the end of last year, you're talking about nearly 1.6 billion people starting to use 5G. So the 5G era is starting to mature. And if you look at any stock market around the world's most valuable companies are enabling or providing services that are using mobile technology to make the world a more efficient, more productive, and more economically inclusive place. So my mission today is to open this great event, this great building, and to share with you a few insights and comments from GSMA on the journey of 5G in Asia Pacific, and specifically Indonesia's role in that. So I suppose best to start with, as of January 2024, 260 operators in 101 countries globally have now launched 5G mobile services. More than 90 operators in another 64 markets are making a commitment to launch 5G in the coming years. So with more than 1.6 billion 5G users already, that's going to rise to 5.5 billion by 2030. So around 60% of the world will be using 5G by the end of the decade. Now, in Asia Pacific, that average is a little bit lower across the region, but in pioneer countries in Asia Pacific, Korea is already passing 60% 5G adoption this year. However, Asia Pacific is a very diverse region, very diverse markets, maturity, very diverse geographies and economic potential. In advanced markets such as Singapore and South Korea, we're already seeing true subscriber penetration is reaching full saturation. Everybody who's old enough to have a phone has got a phone. And by the end of the decade, those countries will be approaching 90 to 95% 5G usage. But it's actually, APAC is really dominated by the next wave, I think, of 5G countries. And that's where India and Indonesia are set to change the world's landscape. India is now two years into their 5G journey, propelled by the largest and fastest rollout of a national standalone network. And it's already beginning to reshape the landscape of the countries that are still to come with 5G. India is adding more than 10 million 5G subscribers per month, and it's creating new use cases and paradigms for the 5G reference points. and it's going to provide new opportunities for countries such as Indonesia to diversify their technology reference points as they move forward. And as India, Indonesia, and the large-scale markets of Asia-Pacific start to mature and take their 5G journey, that we expect to see a much more diverse innovation ecosystem start to evolve, and that's going to really change the region's fortunes. And I think that's why we're holding this Digital Nation Summit here today, to talk about manufacturing and mining, because that's two of the key sectors where we see Indonesia plays a big part in the global economy, but also where we see 5G is really going to change those sectors. But one thing to also keep in mind is consumers. And in Asia Pacific, one thing that really stands out is the appetite for data. So one thing that Asia Pacific countries really exceed global averages is its insatiable appetite for data. And by the end of the decade, we see data consumption per connection increasing by a factor of somewhere between 3- and 4-fold, with average users anything up to 60 gigabytes or perhaps more, which obviously has a big implication for the mobile operators in the room and the region. But there are a couple of big trends that we need to keep in mind. And I think this is an important context for today's discussion, is 5G continues to mature, and 5G standards are continuing to move along, and the capability of 5G Advanced is now starting to be commercialized in the most advanced markets. And that's going to make available functionality which will increase the capability and the impact of 5G on enterprise. And in our own research has shown something like 16% of the operators in Asia Pacific are planning to account for private networks and standalone to account for more than 20% of enterprise revenues by the end of next year. And so that's going to really transform industries like manufacturing, healthcare, mining, and energy, because we forecast that 5G will contribute around $130 billion of the $1 trillion contribution to the APAC economy by the total at the end of the decade. The second trend to keep in mind, also very important in Indonesia, is that Generation AI, or AI in general. No industry event seems complete without some mention of AI. And certainly mobile operators are already far advanced in their consideration and their exploration of how they can use AI in their business. And it's not just about customer care and customer contact, but it's how can they make their networks more efficient. And as networks move further down the generations to 5G and become more cloudified and available, then we'll see AI take a much more greater role in making them more efficient, more available where they're needed. And we're also obviously seeing great collaboration in Indonesia between people like Indosat and NVIDIA around AI, and other operators investing and knowing that they need to participate in the AI sector, because it's going to play a big part not only in their business, but as mobile operators, as large technology foundation for the digital economy, they need to participate with AI to support the digital economy. The third trend, which is really something that I think shines in Indonesia, is the importance of the advances in satellite and non-terrestrial network connectivity. Indonesia has one of the most complex geographies in the region or in the world. Population spread over more than 17,000 islands. I'm lucky to say that I can live on one of them. But when we think about it, 95% of the world's population is covered by a mobile network, but less than 45% of the world's land is covered by a mobile network. In a country like Indonesia, spread across 4 time zones, 17,000 islands, satellite and mobile technology are going to work in a complementary algorithm, complex algorithm, to solve that connectivity problem. And that's really going to power Indonesia to that Vision 2045. So satellite's going to play a big part. The final trend I'm going to highlight is the mobile network operator API economy. And we're proud to say that Indonesia is leading the world in that, and the operators coming together to expose APIs, which are going to now a new era of innovation. And later today, we'll be having a a fintech forum just down the road where operators are coming together to share their ideas and vision for how we can continue to grow those APIs and power a new era of innovation in Indonesia's digital economy and fintech and connected commerce. And of course, as we move towards 5G, those operators are going to make more APIs available, which are going to expose the innovation and the capability of the network to an ecosystem, a vibrant innovation ecosystem that Indonesia is already building. And that's going to really propel Indonesia forward. So in closing, and these marks, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. I'd like to thank Cominfo, the Minister, and Dr. Ismail for hosting this event. It's a real pleasure to be part here today. I'm not sure if that's mine or somebody else's. Oh, ringing. But you know, I think it's very apt that today we're here to talk about how mining and manufacturing and 5G is going to be part of 5G's future. Because the one thing that is clear is 5G is becoming the new platform for efficiency and productivity in enterprise. Indonesia's industries and vision makes it a global player and must compete for innovation and investment on a global network, in a global economy. And so it's imperative that Indonesia finds its own path, finds the algorithm for a connected population, and finds the way to enable its industry and its people to use 5G and rise and meet that vision for 2045 and stand beside those other leading telecom superpowers and become a global statesman that it's really capable of and bring along the population of Indonesia to its rightful place on the global stage. So thank you very much for these opportunity to host this event here, and we look forward to a very vibrant discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, for the wonderful opening speech.